The murder of Carolyn Warmus is a gripping and tragic story that intertwines themes of obsession, infidelity, and murder. The case has captured the public's imagination due to its dramatic elements and the shocking nature of the crime. This video delves into the details of the murder, the investigation, and the aftermath, shedding light on a case that has become a somber example of how personal relationships can spiral into violence. Background of Carolyn Warmus. Carolyn Warmus was a young woman from a respectable family, known for her charm and vibrant personality. Born in 1962, Warmus was a graduate of the University of Michigan and had aspirations of becoming an actress. She was also known for her involvement in various social activities and community events. Warmus's life seemed to be on a promising trajectory until her personal life took a dark turn. Warmus worked as a secretary and had recently moved to the affluent suburban community of Eastchester, New York. Her life, however, took a dramatic shift when she became involved with Paul Calderwood, a wealthy and married man. Calderwood, who was well established in the business world, was married to a woman named Betty, and the affair with Warmus would eventually lead to a tragic turn of events. The affair and its consequences. The affair between Carolyn Warmus and Paul Calderwood began in the late 1980s. The relationship quickly became intense, with Warmus developing a deep obsession with Calderwood. This infatuation was characterized by frequent phone calls, constant attention, and a level of possessiveness that would later prove to be dangerous. Warmus's obsession with Calderwood led her to engage in a series of behaviors that would become central to the investigation. She reportedly made repeated attempts to contact Calderwood, often showing up unannounced at his office and home. This behavior was not only intrusive, but also fueled by jealousy and an intense desire to be with Calderwood. The affair had a significant impact on Calderwood's marriage. His wife, Betty Calderwood, became aware of the relationship and was deeply troubled by it. The emotional strain caused by the affair and the growing tension between the individuals involved set the stage for the violence that would later ensue. The murder of Betty Calderwood. On January 15, 1989, the quiet suburb of Eastchester was rocked by the brutal murder of Betty Calderwood. Betty, a 42-year-old homemaker, was found dead in her home, having been shot multiple times. The murder was shocking in its brutality and left the community in a state of disbelief. The investigation into Betty Calderwood's murder quickly turned up a series of disturbing leads. Detectives discovered that Betty had been targeted specifically, and evidence pointed towards someone with a personal vendetta. The case soon focused on Carolyn Warmus, whose obsessive relationship with Paul Calderwood had become a significant point of interest. The investigation and arrest. As the investigation into Betty Calderwood's murder progressed, authorities uncovered several key pieces of evidence linking Carolyn Warmus to the crime. Witnesses reported seeing Warmus near the Calderwood home on the night of the murder, and forensic evidence suggested that she had been at the scene. Warmus's behavior and her relationship with Calderwood became central to the investigation. Detectives learned about her obsession with Calderwood and her unstable emotional state, which included numerous phone calls and attempts to contact him, despite his attempts to distance himself. The turning point in the investigation came when Warmus was found to have made several incriminating statements. Her admissions, combined with the evidence linking her to the crime scene, led to her arrest on January 18, 1989. Warmus was charged with the murder of Betty Calderwood, and the case quickly became a high-profile legal battle. The trial. The trial of Carolyn Warmus was a highly publicized and sensational event. The courtroom was filled with spectators and media representatives eager to hear the details of the case. Warmus's defense team argued that she was being unfairly targeted due to the high-profile nature of the crime and the media attention surrounding it. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing the evidence against Warmus and the motives behind the crime. Witnesses testified about Warmus's obsessive behavior, her attempts to contact Calderwood, and the evidence linking her to the murder scene. The prosecution argued that Warmus's actions were driven by jealousy and an intense desire to eliminate Betty Calderwood, who was perceived as an obstacle to her relationship with Calderwood. The defense argued that Warmus was not responsible for the murder and that the evidence presented was circumstantial. They suggested that other individuals could have been involved in the crime and that Warmus was being used as a scapegoat. Despite these arguments, the evidence presented during the trial was damning. In May 1991, Carolyn Warmus was found guilty of the murder of Betty Calderwood. The jury's verdict was a significant moment in the case, as it confirmed Warmus's guilt and brought some measure of justice to the Calderwood family. Warmus was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, reflecting the severity of her crime. The aftermath. The conviction of Carolyn Warmus brought a sense of closure to the case, but it did little to alleviate the pain and suffering caused by the murder of Betty Calderwood. The Calderwood family was left to grapple with the loss of Betty, and the impact of her death was felt deeply by those who knew her. The Warmus case also highlighted the dangers of obsessive relationships and the extreme consequences of personal conflicts. The story served as a stark reminder of how intense emotions and unresolved issues can lead to violence. The case prompted discussions about the need for better support systems for individuals experiencing relationship problems and the importance of addressing underlying issues before they escalate into tragedy. In the years following her conviction, Carolyn Warmus remained the controversial figure. Her case continued to attract media attention, and her story was frequently cited as an example of the intersection of passion and violence. Warmus's conviction was upheld on appeal, and she remains incarcerated, serving her sentence. The murder of Betty Calderwood by Carolyn Warmus is a tragic and compelling example of how obsession and personal conflicts can lead to devastating outcomes. The case highlights the extreme consequences of unresolved emotional issues and the impact of intense relationships on individuals' behavior. While justice was served in the conviction of Carolyn Warmus, the loss of Betty Calderwood remains a profound tragedy for her family and the community. The Warmus case serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of addressing personal issues and seeking help before conflicts escalate into violence. It underscores the need for support systems and interventions to prevent such tragedies and highlights the dangers of allowing obsessive behavior and unresolved grievances to fester. The story of Carolyn Warmus is a poignant example of how the dark side of human emotions can lead to tragic and irreversible consequences. That's it for today's video. What do you think of our video? Please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.